What's up, guys? We're back at it again, and we're gonna just jump straight into a match. So we got Elijah Dorsey versus Tainan from the Crown. Happened last year.
Back with the men's middleweight semifinal coming up on that.
If you guys can notice, Tainan had his left hand taped up. I'm not sure what happened, but man, it didn't really affect him too much, except for in the finals.
The reigning IBJJF Crown champion Tainan Dalpra in the middleweight division in blue, taking on Elijah Dorsey, the 2024 European champion in white. Both Elijah and Tainan put on some great shows in the quarterfinals, now squaring off to determine who will advance to the final in the middleweight division on this side.
Respect to Elijah. I was just thinking, nobody really attacked his arm, Tainan's hand, but if we rewind it, he went for the Jacare wrist lock from standing.
Who will advance to the final in the middleweight division on this side.
I give props for that. He got some balls.
Years ago, Kyle, we would have seen Tainan pull right away, but
So Tainan pulls, and then he's got this overhook grip that's been pretty popular. A little bit faster than getting the underhook. And man, you got some good attacks. You got Kyotera. You can also play De La Hiva. So pretty interesting to see what he does from here.
Happy to exchange some standing looks there before pulling here.
And Elijah's doing a really good job. It's really hard to see,
but
he's man, I'm blowing into the microphone. But you can see he's pushing the De La Hiva hook down, and he's trying to strip that grip, that left hand grip. But even with his arm taped up, I think that left hand is still pretty strong.
Happy to exchange some standing looks there before pulling here with Elijah.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking before, right? You said you see a lot of Tainan on bottom, a lot of Tainan on top. Not so much.
Yo, it ain't me breathing in the microphone. That's the guys. That's Kyotera over there.
Standing, but he's getting comfortable. He's getting comfortable, and
so pretty cool. So Tainan does a bump.
Tainan on bottom, a lot of Tainan.
You see he's got the right hand on the collar, left leg between. You see there, right leg. Sorry, right leg between, and that's used to bump with that collar grip.
You see a lot of Tainan on bottom, a lot of Tainan on top. Not so much.
And now, I guess that leg came out, but now he's looking for the far leg with his right hand, and then it looks like he starts to, try to pull that up onto his shoulder for his next attack.
He's getting comfortable, and
then he's in this AOJ move where they it's almost like you reap yourself kind of move.
Not so much standing, but he's getting.
Watch the right side, guys.
He's getting comfortable, and we have seen him taking some.
And then they roll back out of there. Oh, he had an ankle lock, actually.
He's getting comfortable, and we have seen him taking some.
My man said, "Screw my hand. It's gonna work." Usually, when you're injured, you don't use that side as much, but I guess he said whatever.
Now, recently, and look at.
So ankle lock. He didn't get this ankle lock because his leg wasn't in the best position. So this leg here, you guys can see, that leg, if it was in the crotch area, it would probably be stronger. But since it's hanging out, I'm actually surprised that Dorsey didn't attack it. But hindsight.
Look at this foot lock. Look at the straight ankle
So we
lock.
see he did go to grab it for a brief second, and then Tainan just pulls it straight out to protect it.
Look at this foot lock. Look at the straight ankle lock. He could be getting the points, but he doesn't want it. He wants the submission.
All right, Dorsey, good job coming on top. Something I really like is when they control that elbow. Control that elbow, pull that thing up, and that negates that ankle lock grip. But that was a good exchange.
Oh, he did not get it. Did not get it. Not yet.
So Dorsey's trying. He escaped there. I guess Tainan couldn't hold on.
He did
so he's turning his body away.
Did not
here.
Get it.
And then that kind of saved him. Tainan had to let go. And there's a little disconnection there. So that would be a good time for him to continue his passing sequence.
Nice job by Elijah. He freed his foot.
Some outside passing.
Going straight to...
So here's where you need to go side to side. It's hard to camp on some of these guys when they're fresh, you know, less than 2 minutes in.
To pinning the leg and passing to the side.
Kyle, maybe you can help us understand.
Tainan again reaching for the far leg. Just time from the other side. And
Kyle,
then they just get into this reaping position almost.
Elijah didn't score 2 for that exchange. It looked Tainan start. You know what? My mistake. I understand Tainan was on bottom.
No, Tainan. Yeah. Tainan got 2 advantages. One from coming up on top, and then after coming up on top, he went for the ankle lock and scored another one.
There's also a big issue that only gi people are going to understand, but I'll kind of point it out in a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, they were too dynamic in the beginning, so it got us a little confused. Huh?
We were talking about the...
All right, now in the closed guard.
Development of Tainan's kind of stand-up and wrestling game. I've often wondered how much that was a result of the 2023 Worlds Final where he lost to Jansen Gomez. It looked at the time like if Tainan had wrestled with Jansen, it might have been a different match. I wonder how much of a catalyst that match was to Tainan.
I mean, this guy wants Tainan to wrestle with Jansen. I guess he didn't see the match. I don't know, man. Some of these guys, man.
Developing a little bit more standing confidence.
So Tainan's working this two-on-one. Always a very good idea from the closed guard. See, he's got 2 hands. One hand controlling the sleeve, other hand on the elbow. That's always a great idea.
Looked at the time like if Tainan had wrestled with Jansen, it might have been a different match. I wonder how much of a catalyst that match was to Tainan developing a little bit more standing confidence.
I think that counts.
So we got Elijah standing up, and he basically gave him everything, man. Gave Tainan everything.
Right, I think that he definitely was seeing.
And now you guys hopefully can kind of see the issue was that one thing I noticed is that Dorsey's gi is too big. It's too big, and then it's allowing Tainan to get these, you know, immaculate grips that, you know, it's going to be impossible to break. And in this case, this is one of the hardest positions to deal with. He's got that 2-on-1 control, pulling the arm across the body.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's rough, man. And he's got this leg, this left leg. He's going to use that to elevate. Let's see, you guys can see. Right? So you see how it's in the hip, like a keymaster elevation, and he switches to the leg.
Stand up on on his game, not just to defend from sweeps coming up on the leg, but also his own sweeps coming up on the leg.
And then Dorsey's got a good base. I wish he would do more of the kick step, long step out of this. You know, that big jumping step out of here. You know, knock off the heel, back step. Instead of staying in these positions. But Tainan is a lot stronger than we can think.
But also his own sweeps coming up.
I kind of missed
that. But I believe.
So Tainan does a little chop with the top leg, and then this back leg here on the bottom leg.
Also
off balance, and then superpower time. Let's go.
What probably made a huge difference is him trying to go no-gi. And without a wrestling game in
So back in this Keymaster, this can be kind of tough. So if you guys watch Tommy Langecker, he plays a lot of this stuff.
You're a little in trouble. So I think it's a
hard to deal with,
of,
man.
Of both things. He definitely
Speaking
does
from
not
experience.
like to lose, and he probably did not appreciate his loss against Johnson, but also the improvement of his abilities to compete at no-gi. Look at this 2-on-1 from Tainan. You don't see.
So, I said the gi was too big. So you see how the gi is kind of pulling over his fingers. Yeah, the gi was too big.
Playing that often, So it's funny how you see Tainan playing.
Oof. Yeah. So you got a good pull.
That often, So it's funny how you see Tainan playing different.
Yeah, great pull there.
In every match.
Moves to the single.
It's not it.
And then that gi is just too big.
It becomes difficult to study
Bolo.
to fight someone like. You know, it's not. It becomes difficult to
Yeah, I feel like Dorsey should have. I mean,
games in every
hindsight, guys,
match.
hindsight.
You know, it
But yeah, definitely moving backwards was. I don't think
not.
that was the best idea
It
here.
becomes
Yeah, he should have stayed up and maybe try to clear this leg, circling it out or something, or man, anything to not get caught in that bolo.
difficult to study to fight someone like this. You know, you
Tiny
never
comes
know
up, yeah, and that's kind
what
of
he's gonna
kind of
bring.
it. You see how his arms trapped. See how his arms trapped under his leg. Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do in that case, guys.
Always developing.
He let go, but
Always
now Tainan is in the leg long step passing position. He's stepping over. Maybe a knee cut,
maybe 2 years ago you would never see Tainan
on that left side. So passing to this left side. If you guys watched the video with Wawrinski, he passes to the left a lot. And most people don't have a developed guard on that side. This side is usually just like, they're struggling. Other side is like, they're a superhero. This side, they're just, a white belt.
He hit a couple.
And we got Dorsey framing with this cross lat post. But with the gi grips, man, it's rough, man.
Them at the World Championships this year, and it seems to have become maybe one of his favorite attacks.
Yeah, I think one of the things that helps Tainan a lot, that has helped him a lot, is because Tainan is not lazy. You see his schedule. He constantly posts, and he's always, doing something. Whether he's studying or he's training, but most likely teaching. And I think his teaching ended up.
That's a good back take. It's kind of like a Marcelo move. So he's got this turned around position from the half guard.
It's helped him a lot is because Tainan is.
And then Dorsey's kind of trying to peek out, maybe octopus guard style. But again, the gi makes it a little bit different than no gi, guys.
Not lazy,
so you see how Tainan is on top of his shoulders, and so that's what's kind of keeping Dorsey from moving up. A lot of times you do the octopus guard, you got to build up. But because Tainan, his hips are really high up, you see his hips are right next to Dorsey's head. There's not really much for him to go. There's nowhere for him to go, so Tainan can jump across pretty easily for a back take. So this is Marcelo 101 actually.
He constantly posts, and he's always, doing something. Whether he's studying or he's training, but most likely teaching.
So yeah.
And
so Dorsey comes forward, which lets Tainan kind of get more on his back, and then he can jump across.
His teaching ended up helping him to appreciate techniques that he maybe didn't use before.
Take the back, and then all right, that's it, guys. Not much else gonna happen. Take the back, body triangle, and then choke.
That if you only.
My internet's slow. Let's just skip that. It's a good match, yeah. All it takes is one mistake at black belt, bro. It could be a small mistake too, like something just like, oh man, I'll get it back later, and you never get it back. So keep that in mind if you want to compete at the highest levels. Everything's got to be on point, and some of that's luck, some of it's luck. In Tainan's case, that's a lot of skill. So now let's go to Reddit. It says, how to stay motivated. I started jiu-jitsu almost 11 months ago and absolutely enjoy it. I normally train 4 days a week and lift weights 1 to 2 days a week. Recently, as I prepared for my first competition, if that ain't the answer right there, I have increased the training to 6 days a week, but feel like by the end of the week, I am not able to give my 100%. I also feel my energy levels during sparring has gone down, eventually impacting my motivation. There are days when I love sparring and rolling, but then there are days when I feel like I'm completely stuck. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Should I stick to training 4 days a week? Also happy to get any tips for you guys for my first competition. Yeah, so you answered everything in the post. It's the competition. I'll be honest, a lot of times competing is not fun. It's just something you get used to, it's, and you're not always going to be optimal. That 100%, that ain't never going to be there usually. A lot of times, if you can bring 70%, 75% to the tournament, you're doing pretty well. And you're training hard compared to like before. Before you're probably training 4 days a week. You're having fun. It's cool. You feel great. You feel strong. But now that you're training 6 days a week, which might be overkill, man, it is not fun. It's not fun for anybody. Even if you're really good, some days like you just feel worn down. didn't sleep well, didn't get enough carbs, stress at work, stress at home. So anything can chip at your energy level, and that's just a part of the process, man. There's no shortcut, there's no ecological shortcut or methodology that's going to get you through that. It's just you got to learn to enjoy the pain and the struggle. That's something that I think wrestlers kind of handle a lot better. Something behind me? Oh. That's something wrestlers handle a lot because of their schedule. They might be competing, every week, and you're not going to feel great at their 2 or 3 weeks in. You're like, oh man, I'm tired. So you just got to get through the tournament, man. Just prepare, get through the tournament. You might be overtraining 6 days a week for a beginner. That might be a lot. And in lifting weights, so maybe you could add more rest days. Maybe you need to add more, look at your diet, look at your sleep. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just, that's normal. I don't know what else to say. One poster says, rest and recovery are an important part of performing well. Go less or have technical days. I'm between the normal days. Sounds like you're just overtraining. Stop doing that. What are your goals when you spar? I vary my rolling. Some days I might try to work a particular guard. Some days I might work defense. Some days I might force a particular sub. Not every roll am I just trying to murder my teammates. So the thing with the tournament is that you shouldn't be varying it kind of like what he's suggesting so much. I mean, obviously you should be working your A game, your whatever your guard is, your passing, specifically, and then kind of like the ancillary stuff that might distract you from performing, you might want to hold off until after the tournament. So you're not going to develop new skills right now. It's just kind of honing the skills you have, and then game planning, tactics, and just mental work at that point. It should be more specific, more tournament oriented, more like simulating the tournament. That's something I've seen a lot of schools do, where you might have matches at the end of class. You have two people in the school, they have a match, and there's a referee, and then people are like cheering, and then there's a timer set, and that can kind of simulate the tournament experience. So I think that helps a lot too. Some people suggesting blood work, that might be overkill. When I'm pulling a high training run, I rotate flow, chill days, and hard training days. Usually the first day is always flow and chill, no hard rounds. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep. This is also from a blue belt. Golden rule was, if my body was just done, then take a rest day. All my major injuries happen on days when I should have just stayed home due to overtraining. Listen to your body, avoid burnout, and keep things light a week or two before comp. I would say you kind of want to rev up. You want to I forget what that's called, but you just want to start to periodize yourself. So maybe that the week before, 2 weeks before, that's like the last of your hard training, and then the week of is just maintenance, making sure your weight's good, you're sweating, but not pushing too hard, not training too long. And some guys still kind of push the pace Friday night. It depends on the individual, but it sounds like this guy overtrains pretty fast. This guy says it usually takes a week off before comp. Some people can do that, but I just feel like you gotta obviously stay warmed up, but you also gotta stay sharp in your technique. If you take a week off, that timing might be gone. You might feel great, but your timing's gone. So you gotta find that right balance. I always say stay in the gym, but as soon as you start to feel tired, okay, slow down. And you want to be in the grind, in the grind. You want to be sharp. You want to be focused. Again, recovery is key. Something that helps with magnesium before bed. Yeah, that can help you. Another trick that help avoid burnout. I always toss in a fun day, usually at open mat, where I train not for comp but simply for fun. That can help too. Another poster says, there's nothing wrong with increasing training volume and feeling more fatigued more often. If you can just try to increase it slowly to give yourself time to adapt, then a couple weeks before the tourney, give yourself more rest. Ideally, you should transition from feeling fatigued to antsy by competition day. Some people deal with their anxiety by training more, so that can happen. You overtrain. God knows I've been to a few tournaments overtrained, and my performance kind of didn't go well. So yeah, just listen to your body, bro. Or you know what? Talk to your coach. Who would suggest that? Talking to your coach about that. So now we got some ecological. You guys know we love ecological here on the channel.
Approach is a new method for learning jiu-jitsu. A typical jiu-jitsu class would have an
Wait a second.
The ecological approach is a new method for learning jiu-jitsu. A typical jiu-jitsu class would have an instructor demonstrating a technique step by step. Then the students practice that technique by drilling with a non-resisting partner. The ecological approach would instead focus on immersion and removing that step-by-step instruction.
So, the ecological guys usually don't like this. But personally, when I'm learning a new skill, I kind of like to take it slow, go through the move. I'll repeat the steps. When I'm moving slow like this, I can, as soon as I hit like a pain point or an issue, I just call over the coach, or maybe I'll brainstorm with my partner to kind of figure out the details. But I like doing this kind of drilling, just, to start, especially a new skill I haven't seen before. I'm going to go slow. I'm going to kind of be observing and just seeing what's going on and not really rushing to get to the good stuff. For me, the details have always been in that kind of slow. I mean, you can find some details in kind of full speed training or drilling or situational sparring. But sometimes just going slow, just kind of gives me time to kind of expand my observation and see, maybe if I twist my wrist this way, that might work a little bit better. If I adjust my weight here, things I might be able to pick up if I'm rolling or doing situational sparring. But I just like the slower approach. Gives me more time to think. I can get feedback from my partner. I can get feedback from the coach, and but just there's no pressure. There's no pressure to perform. There's no pressure to win a game. There's no pressure to do anything but just focus on the technique.
Rather than getting shown the step-by-step way to do a rear naked choke, the instructor would say, this is a rear naked choke. Show it real quick and then move on to the other buzzword phrase in jiu-jitsu right now, task-based games. You might get with your partner and the goal of the game is one person starts on the back and is only trying to do a rear naked choke, and the other person is only trying to prevent a rear naked choke. This is a simplification, and there's a lot of different games for almost every different position and technique in jiu-jitsu, but
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like everybody's got ADHD at this point. So instead of just going over step by step, that's pretty important. I feel like a lot of instructors are in this rush to, entertain the students and, keep them from being bored. Obviously, sometimes jiu-jitsu is boring. The move is boring. You don't need to talk about the move for 3 hours, but some step-by-step instruction is good. There might be a step that I'm not thinking about that the coach might bring up or a student might bring up, and it's like, oh man, that's the key to the move. And I putting that into words is a skill. I know so many talented athletes that can't put what they do into words, and it's intuitive for them to do the move, but then everybody else is just struggling. So I appreciate that if someone can break down a move and step by step. To me, those are the best instructors that can break it step by step and then make it digestible for the majority of the students. Of course, you can try to figure it out. I feel like more the ecological task-based approach is a good way. It's like a good way. I like to use the word on-ramp. It's a good way to get a new person tough quickly. Will they have understanding of the moves? I don't know. But they'll be tough and they can do things, but I just feel like this might hurt them in the long run, as they progress. And then the task-based training is no longer as effective, and then they have to go back, and then they have to rebuild, and then it's like more work. I feel like it's more short term thinking, and then long term, they're gonna pay long term. The students are.
Get the idea. People tend to resist new things, and the ecological approach is a new thing, but that's the way we've always done it. Has never been a good reason to do anything. Should we all be moving to the ecological approach? I'm not so sure. Proponents of the ecological approach will say that if you want to learn to swim, you wouldn't first practice on dry land, you would jump in the pool, you'd be immersed in the water. Where I think this point falls is that swimming to stay afloat and not...
Give them that trauma, bro. Give them that trauma. Throw them to the wolves. That's the old jiu-jitsu model. All right, man. Here's a technique. Go try it. Go try it against that blue belt. It's ready to kill you. Yeah. Shout out to Inverted Gear and Bodega out there doing the ecological experiment.
Down is one thing, but swimming to be as fast as possible and be a good swimmer is very different. You'd never say to a beginner, okay, here's a golf swing, okay, go do some golf swings, and ever expect them to be good, or at least not good for years and years and years and years and years. They'd get much better, much faster if you actually showed them how to do a golf swing and let them practice it, not just go make them play 18 holes. I tend to think jiu-jitsu is more like a golf swing than it is swimming in a pool to just not drown and stay above the water. The people who love the ecological approach will also claim that students retain information better when they're immersed in it as opposed to learning step by step, and I do sort of agree with this. I can remember the first time I hit techniques in sparring, but there's very few times I can remember the first time I drilled something. But on the flip side, I can also remember being a white belt who did know what an armbar was before I ever learned one because I watched the UFC and WEC Wreckage on Versus. Remember those days? But I would go to the jiu-jitsu class and just throw up legs to try to get an armbar because I knew what it was. It wasn't until someone showed me the step-by-step way to do it that I actually hit one. Would I ever get good at arm bars if for years and years and years I never learned the right way to do it via step-by-step instruction and I just kept throwing my legs up the wrong way to do it? Maybe. I don't know, but I tend to think I never would get good arm bars if I never learned how to do an arm bar. This brings me to what I think is the ideal way to learn jiu-jitsu: a little bit of everything. There are so many different ways to teach, and there are so many different ways that people can learn and learn well. I don't think there's any reason that we should limit ourselves to either the traditional way of teaching jiu-jitsu or the ecological approach. I think there should be a blend, so here it is, the best possible jiu-jitsu class. For me, the warm-up is done by yourself. It's not part of class. Come to class warmed up and ready to go. We should do the instructor teach.
My man brought up warm-ups, bro. Warm-ups, bro. Before the ecological debate, there was the warm-up debate. That'll be for another day, guys. Warm-ups.
Technique, but it shouldn't drag on, like no more than 5 minutes. And then we should go drill the technique. And again, that's no more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is short, but you can definitely do good step-by-step instruction in just 5 minutes. And 5 minutes of drilling is short, but you can get done what you need to get done in 5 minutes. And then we have to repeat that cycle for the second version of a technique. So like in this example, the first technique was a scissor sweep. 5 minutes step-by-step, 5 minutes drilling scissor sweep. We come back, 5 minutes of instruction on doing an arm bar off the scissor sweep.
Yo, what's his focus on 5 minutes? I need a little bit more than 5 minutes, bro. I need a lot more time than 5 minutes to kind of figure out a technique and just get into the vibe of the technique. So many people hate drilling, but man, like once I get that vibe, I'm trying to get that flow of the move, or like, I don't want to say muscle memory. Yeah, a little bit is muscle memory, but like it's like you get an understanding of the move, and all right, this is moving. Oh, and when the technique clicks, it's like, yeah, here we go. It's just crazy to me that in sports like judo and wrestling, they're gonna do the move 1,000 times, and then jiu-jitsu guys over here, 5 minutes. All right, I'm bored. I'm bored. What's the next technique?
5 minutes of drilling that for another 10 minutes, 20 minutes total of step-by-step instruction and drilling. After that, we can move into task-based games. Maybe a game where one person just tries to sweep, the other person tries not to be swept. There's no submitting, there's no guard passing, it's just try not to be swept and try to sweep that person. Do that for like 20 minutes. The rest of the time is just live sparring. I think you get the most out of live sparring, so that gets the biggest chunk of time. I think that situational sparring and task-based games are very good for helping people learn and the immersion and applying those skills in a more controlled environment, so that gets time. But I also think step-by-step instruction is important too. So we're going to keep that, just not as much as we usually do and not dragging it on and on and on. I think the problem with step-by-step instruction and
another thing I just thought of is like the more complex the move, there's going to be more steps. So I think inherently this approach is going to be limited. Okay, maybe, scissor sweep might be able to get broken down, but think of like something like a berimbolo or some of the more intricate guards or newer techniques that you need more step by step, especially when it's like you deal with inversions or positional changes or, anything like that where it's like, all right, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be tough. Then you need more instruction, more step-by-step. You could say that's for more advanced students, more advanced people. But again, this model seems to only work for, white belts and new people. And then once they get out of that, it gets harder to incorporate, and then it's like you have to go back to the previous model. I mean, this guy said to do both, but I mean, his structure, it seems more like a beginner structure. I'm not saying the advanced classes can't do that. I don't know. I'm just poking holes, guys, poking holes.
Is when it goes on for 10, 20, 30 minutes, people lose interest, they clock out, and they're just going through the motions. If you limit the time they can do that, they'll get more from it. So there you have it, the perfect class. I think we can get things from the ecological approach that improve the traditional way of teaching, and I also don't think we should abandon the traditional way of teaching in favor of the ecological approach. I'm curious what you think, though. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I'm kind of covering some of this stuff, but like, what do you guys think? I'm old school. I already said that. So maybe my approach is old as well. But maybe the newer guys will show that there's different ways to get good. I think the last thing we got another post, how to make money as a martial arts instructor. So that's important. I got a lot of friends out there trying to make money as an instructor. So yeah, let's see what we can learn. Hopefully fair use don't hit me with the copyright. I'm praying.
That the highest paying job I've ever had was as a personal trainer working out of my own garage. They don't believe me, but it's true. I made more money week to week in this garage training clients than I've ever made consistently in any point in my life. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, exactly how much money I made. And this applies not just to martial arts and fitness professionals. This could apply to any business you run out of a home office, a home salon, or a home laboratory.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money doing personal training, private lessons, and jiu-jitsu as well. The issue I find is that most academy owners don't have time, or they don't know how to promote themselves, or there's no system for them. One thing I liked at one of my older schools was the front desk would organize all this stuff. They would promote, hey, you guys want to do a seminar with or private lesson with Alec, and then they would sign it, figure out everything, and then contact me, and then they already had the pricing and everything set up, so I didn't have to really think about it. And then, of course, if students wanted one-on-ones or people coming out of town wanted a one-on-one or a group private, it was so easy. Because a lot of jiu-jitsu people don't want to promote themselves, they won't post on social media, they won't make a website that works, they won't market themselves to their neighboring companies and their neighbors in general. So I think just putting yourself out there, I always tell my friends to post online and to do all this other stuff, and then hopefully one day they'll listen.
Home gym into a full-time job with nothing but a smartphone. I needed a Square reader and a Facebook account. Now, it wasn't easy. It was hard work. I'm not going to tell you anything like, oh, here's how you can make $30,000 a month. I made a...
Yo, all you guys need is Cash App. I mean, if you got the skill and the space, like you just use his garage, all you need is Cash App or Venmo, whatever. What's the other one? I don't know. Zelle, whatever. And then people can pay you,
$1,000 a week. I can tell you how to make $1,000 a week. That's not too complicated, but it's also not that easy. Ultimately, I made $1,000 a week, not because of some click funnel. None of this was done online. This was all in-person clients here. Because I delivered a quality service at a fair price. And pricing is the key. Most of you are overpricing your services. People don't like this, and I caught a lot of flack in this area, particularly for quote-unquote devaluing the service, because I undercut everyone. I charged half of what everyone was charging.
All right, I don't know about that, man. Maybe starting out, you can charge half, or if you don't have the skill or knowledge, you're just starting out. Okay, maybe charge half. I don't know. I'm not agreeing with this guy. I say charge your rates and then find the people that see the value in your rate and then go from there. But he's saying go by half. That's a good way to build a base, possibly. You get that grandfather those people in, and then the new people you charge the price that you wanted to initially.
But actually, I could save you this whole video. You don't have to watch any of this video. I can sum up my advice in one sentence. If your schedule is not full, your prices are too high. And if your schedule is full, your prices are too low.
All right, you said it. I don't have to watch anymore. No, that sounds pretty good, that's if people know the value that you're bringing. We see this in martial arts academies a lot of times. People come in the door and then they might see a jiu-jitsu academy and ask the pricing. Oh, you charge $200. Okay, but the karate school down the street charges me $30. Okay. You're not going to get that person. No amount of undercutting or whatever going to get that person in. But if they understand, oh, that's the pricing in this area. You're in a nice area. You have a nice facility. Every school in the area near you charges that price or more. And then it's going to be more understandable. But if they don't know that going in, it can be rough. So education is important when you're getting new people in. But nowadays if you're online, you can have all this stuff out there for people to see beforehand, before they even get to you.
You don't need to know anything else. That's it. So trainers are charging $60 an hour and having 4 appointments a week. I was charging $30 an hour and having 30 to 35 appointments a week. So not only am I making more money, I'm helping more people.
God, dog. Wait a second. 35? Jesus, how did he have energy? Was that like 30 minutes, 1 hour? Dang. I mean, you can do what he's doing, man, but you might burn yourself out. But if you need that money, who am I to judge you guys? But, $60 ain't bad. $30 ain't bad either. I don't know, man.
This is the entire point. There's nothing wrong or immoral with trying to make money at something that you also are passionate about. That was confusing for me at first because this job was so fulfilling. I always felt weird when it was time to raise prices because I got a lot out of this job that wasn't money. But I don't do this for the money, but I need money to do it. Me getting this up to a full-time business and a full-time gig is what gave me the opportunity to open a studio and go from helping 10 people at a time to helping 20 people at a time. And from 20 people at a time to hundreds of people at a time to thousands of people at a time. Making money is how you help more people. So there are these guys who are so confused about what it is. They say they live for this shit, whether it's martial arts or fitness or whatever. And this goes for all artists. This goes for all flaky people who are terrible at making money. Martial arts, fitness, artists, like that whole group. So people get stuck in this weird situation where they work a job they hate for a tiny amount of money just to pay their bills. And then when someone tries to pay them to do something they love, they tell them it's $60 an hour. That's madness. No one's going to pay you $60 an hour. Here's what they will pay you. And you don't need a gym. You don't need to work for somebody. You don't need any overhead.
Forgot the audio, guys. I had a good point there. Basically, $60 isn't much in that, artists are often taken advantage of in his mindset. I don't know. He's kind of sounds like a boomer. Oh man,
I do recommend you get certified and get your license and get insurance, which I did all that. But you charge them $12 an hour and you hold pads for them in the park. And right now you're thinking, I'm not holding pads for $12 an hour. Well, right now you're not holding pads for $0 an hour. But check this out. Now you're holding pads for a dude for $12 an hour and he's starting to get really good and he posts pictures and videos of stuff and checks in with you on Facebook and Instagram. And then, he has a buddy come and then that buddy starts seeing you and then they refer some people. And then one of them tells you that his wife wants to learn self-defense or get in shape. And, now you have another client. And eventually you've got 10 people that you're charging $12 to $15 an hour now. And you're working your ass off for very little money. And then they refer one more client and you're like, fuck, I can't take another client on. And you're like, it'll be $20 an hour. And they're like, okay, no problem. Because that's a steal. Because you've just undercut every other trainer in the area who's giving half of what he's making to the gym or more. I know trainers that make $10 an hour and the gym charges $60, which makes half sound pretty good. Your time is not worth as much as you think it is. You're not owed anything. You have to earn people's attention. You have to earn people's time. You have to earn people's dollars. You can't just say, well, I did this for X number of years. I took this test and I beat these people up on 14 different continents and I can lift 1,000,000 pounds. Nobody fucking cares. They care about what you can do for them and they don't know what that is if they've ever seen you do it for anyone else. I once tried to hire a guy. I was looking for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. I wasn't able or really...
Yeah, I know he about to undercut somebody. he got to have a black belt. All right, $12 an hour, black belt.
...to attend classes at the time because of some injuries I had and some time constraints. So I hit up this guy I know. He works in a fast food restaurant. And I said, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor and a really good teacher. And I said, hey, I want to hire you. I want 2 privates a week. Give me a quote. I wanted him to come here. And he told me that he didn't really have reliable transportation. What the fuck, man? Like, if he'd have said $60 an hour, I would have paid it because I know what he's worth. And he could have,
I hope this guy was in a black belt charging $60 an hour. Yo.
Some of that towards an Uber. It's just crazy to me that people won't run their passion like you would run a business in the most efficient way possible so that you can do it for a greater percentage of your time. People, their whole life is their job and they do the things they love when they can find time. Why don't you make your job the thing you love and then your whole life is the thing you love? Now, if other people in your area do what you do, they're going to get mad at you and talk shit, and they're going to say you're devaluing the service. But you're not devaluing the service. You're actually trying to find the value of your service because...
I'm going back to jiu-jitsu. So, we sometimes get guys like this will come in and then I think I mentioned $200 a month. That's kind of average where I am. And then you get this guy come in $70 a month. he's gonna get some people. He's gonna get a lot of people actually. But I mean, the service probably not gonna be good. Hopefully facilities might be okay. I don't know, but usually the knowledge and skill not gonna be there, and it might get people to a certain degree. Then they're like, all right, I'm ready to go to the $200 school now that I should have just gone to. But I see this a few times. I don't know. He's kind of saying devalue yourself. But I think you should have some pride in yourself, have some value in yourself. Everything's expensive now. So, again, if you have a good skill set, I mean, and with the social media, he's saying, oh, people don't know who you are. You got to just start anywhere. That might be the case a long time ago. But now you have social media. You can build yourself. You can show yourself in action, building students, building your repertoire, building your brand. And then people coming in, they know, oh man, this guy's serious. He's doing some real work. So don't underestimate that.
You guys don't get to decide that. The people that you're serving do. The customers do. The market decides what the value of your service is. And one of the biggest things I did early on is I picked out a couple of people and did a lot of pro bono work for them. Start to finish, complete personal training packages. And I had 3 criteria for it. 1, it was someone that needed my service. 2, it was someone that could not afford it. And 3, it was someone that knew a lot of people. My first pro bono client was a hairstylist. She got amazing progress. She worked with me 3 times a week for like a year. And at one point when I was doing this full time, 40% of my clientele was her referrals. They saw the progress that she made. I actually provided a valuable service, and they came to me and became paying clients. So I've always said this, and we'll talk more about this on the channel as we go, so make sure you subscribe. Being selfless is one of the most selfish things you can do.
I agree with that. Be selfless. As far as you're willing. As far as you're willing to put the time and effort in. But again, if you have the skill, man, you deserve to get paid, no matter what anybody says. If you have a skill set and you're bringing value, you have knowledge, you have experience, you deserve to get paid. Don't listen to anybody if they're like, man, just work for free, and just try to take advantage of you. Again, artists get taken advantage of all the time. So I think, especially with the internet now, everybody can be more educated. You can kind of see what something's worth a little bit easier. I'm not saying you always know someone's worth, but you can look it up like, oh, personal training. Okay, I should be paying this much, or jiu-jitsu, I should be paying this much. And of course, try if you're not sure, just try it out. But I think on the flip side, a lot of people underestimate themselves. They're gonna follow this guy's model, and then a lot of times they just get stuck in that all right, this is what I'm charging, this is what I'm worth, and they undervalue themselves too much. Yeah, that's it, guys. I'm tired. So if you guys want to see some more videos like this, let me know. I'm gonna do some more video breakdowns like we did with the Tainan match. Where's that match at? If you guys have any people you want me to study, of course, on my main channel, I got I go in on a particular athlete, but it's kind of cool to just study jiu-jitsu and, just enjoy it too. Just enjoy it. Talk a little bit of BS with you guys, but that's it. Until next time, guys. Peace. Oh, wait.